Hi, I'm Jarrod Fry, General Manager of MedinaTV, and I want to welcome you to this year's edition of Candidates Forum.
Hi, I'm Jaclyn Ringstmeier, Executive Director of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce, and we are once again pleased to partner with MedinaTV to bring you this voter education series.
The views expressed by the candidates in these forums are not those of MedinaTV or the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce.
All candidates in contested races were invited to participate. These interviews are meant to be informational without endorsement from MedinaTV or the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce. Please enjoy this year's Candidates Forum.
Joining us now is the incumbent for City Council at-large seat, Paul Rose. Paul, thank you for joining us here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Why don't you first, just for those that may not know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've got, let's see, I'll start since college. I've got a business management degree from John Carroll University. I've got an MBA from Cleveland State University. I've got my work career has taken me through Republic Steel, where I was a shop floor supervisor, and then we merged with LTV Steel. From there, I was a labor relations counselor, and I spent time with the IT department, writing programs, scheduling the mill, things like that. When the writing on the wall came that the steel industry wasn't going to last much longer, they outsourced us to Anderson Consulting. I kept my job, just worked for a different company. Spent a little over 4 years with them, and when the writing on the wall was bright and clear, I put my resume out on the web, and IBM picked me up. And I worked for the last 18 years with IBM as a system administrator, and then moved into management. I was a service delivery manager for the last 12 years, delivering services to General Motors, Stryker, Honeywell, and my proudest moment was taking the data centers in the state of Ohio and moving them to a central location in Columbus, where not only was I saving city tax dollars, I was also saving state tax dollars by doing the consolidation. From there, and while doing that, I've been running for, I ran for council. I started with city council in 2010. And I've been there since. And in that time, I've been honored to serve the residents of the city of Medina in any way possible that was required of me as a council at large.
Now, in terms of, for the residents that may not know exactly how city council works, kind of explain what council does and how it does work. Okay,
all right. Good question. Well, the city council is broken up, or the city is broken up into 4 wards. Each ward has its own council person. And then per city charter, there are 3 at-large council people. There's every other 2 years, a new council person at large is elected, as well as the council president, who's considered at large. When we meet in various committees. We meet with the finance committee, and then we meet as council. During those meetings, we look at legislation presented to us. Some is pretty easy because it's mainly budgetary on how we spend the taxpayers' money. In other ways, there are some issues that require a lot of research, require a lot of conversation, or require a lot of input, and our main focus, though, in all of that is making sure that we prudently spend the taxpayer dollars to get the biggest bang for our buck.
Now, explain a little bit more in depth the difference. You mentioned that there are the ward members and the at-large members. Kind of explain a little bit the difference between the two. You are all still members of council, but the areas you serve are a little different.
Correct. As I said, the ward members focus mainly on their particular wards, the northwest corner, the northeast corner, southwest and southeast corners. Generally speaking, there are some intertwines. At large, we spend time with the city as a whole. We help the ward council people when there's help needed. We bring in our expertise when needed. Sometimes a resident would like to hear from 2 council people about a particular subject, and so that's where we come in, we weigh in and help as needed.
And what do you think with that is some of the biggest challenges that Medina faces during this term that you're running for, not necessarily past terms, but the term you're currently running for?
In the biggest challenge right now is going to be able to maintain our low tax structure that we have. We have one of the lowest income taxes in the state. With the expansion that's been coming in with the businesses and the current hiring problem, one of the challenges is going to be able to bring in a qualified workforce that's willing to work and fill the jobs that are out there right now and in the future. When it comes to the non-economic things, as I talk to the people throughout the city, and everybody has their own, how should I say, little area of concern that they would like to see improved, and justifiably so. But the one that I hear universally is deer. We do have a very pronounced deer problem in town. More and more I'm hearing that the deer are becoming domesticated. They're not running away from humans as we get near them, and they are devastating the plant life. I had one resident that I spoke with in Ward 2 who says it's really hard to be motivated to maintain your property when deer just come in and destroy it. So we definitely need to address that in some way, shape, or form. I know the mayor is working with other mayors to hold the state to task, because according to legislation, state legislation, the state owns the deers. So we need to work with them to have them put some common sense management to these deer. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I've been working on in the background, but we're going to have to bring that up more to the front as I talk to the residents. Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the issues. What have been some of the priorities for you personally in your previous terms as city council at large? And I guess second part of that question, what do you see as top priorities heading in, if reelected, for this new term?
Okay, in the past, when I back in 2009 when I ran, one of the items that I talked about was working with the technology within the city. And I've concentrated on that because of my 18 years with IBM plus with the steel mills, and we put together an emerging technologies committee that I've been on the chair since its inception. We look at, the biggest thing we look at are ways to improve the way things are going with the city. We take ideas from you, from Darren, and other people on what can be done to improve the communications, improve the utilization of the hardware and software that we have through the cooperative efforts of the schools, the county, and the city. We've been able to how should I say, more efficiently use the staff that we have, use the equipment we have in backing up the schools with the city, backing up the city with the schools, using your department to air the county commissioners' meetings and things like that. Those are the areas that we've been proud to have been able to move forward in the last 12 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, looking forward, definitely want to keep that cooperation going and moving forward. We have in the hopper right now, and it's sitting with the law director right now for review on the wording of the legislation. We want to bring in a community advisory committee to work with the Emerging Technologies Committee, because there's a big wide world out there of technology that's just moving faster than the speed of government. And we need to get that input from the people. And so as soon as we get the wording completed, we will move that. It is moved out of committee. We're going to move it to the Finance Committee for review and conversation. And then if passed, then we'll move it to council. And with that, we will have representatives from the city in the departments such as yourself and Darren, and one from the schools and the court committee to work with those. And then we'll have 3 residents who have a high level of technology understanding and work experience to help move the city forward. And details are soon to be worked out, but that's in the hopper right now.
Okay. And so you talked about all these initiatives and different issues. What do you feel is the biggest cost area for the city? And in that same regard, do you feel the city is financially operating with a healthy budget, or how do you kind of see those two issues?
Okay. The cost budget is, or the biggest cost thing, I should say, is probably in the, depends on where you look, actually, in maintaining the current streets that we have, whether it's through tearing them all the way down to tearing out the utilities underneath it and rebuilding and bringing that up, to just doing the spot patching that we have periodically throughout the town, where this is a bad section of concrete but the rest of it's good. Those things, keeping the roads good, is probably the biggest cost area in the entire budget. Next would be the police. Even though they do have a bigger budget, a lot of it has to do with it's more or less their budget is more or less personnel related as opposed to infrastructure related, and we need to maintain them both. As far as the city cost-wise with a healthy budget, we definitely do have a healthy budget. We've been able to operate in the black for the several years. Well, as long as I've been on council, we've been able to operate in the black. And we do have a projected budget operating in the black to 2026. And as time goes on, as revenues increase, that can change, and we're certainly hoping it can change. But we get there through the cooperation of the mayor, the administration, the employees, absolutely, and council. We're working together, rowing the boat in the same direction, and making sure that the dollars, as I said earlier, are spent prudently.
Mm-hmm. So talking about all those groups together, how do you see the working relationship? I guess let's start with council first. Do you feel everyone always has to be on the same page? Are you okay with differing opinions among council? And if so, how do you work to get to a resolution regarding different issues? Well, I guess we'll start there first, since I threw about 3 questions at you.
Okay. All right. Well, basically, this council here has a history of working together. We respect each other. We value other opinions, and we may not agree with them, but we do respect those opinions, and we do value them, and we take those into consideration when we're making a vote, especially on some controversial subjects. And when that vote is completed, okay, that vote's completed, we move on to the next issue. We don't carry a grudge from this thing to that thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've seen, I should say, as council has changed slightly in my tenure, we've been able to, after the initial rough periods, we've been able to get that common ground and working to move the city forward in just about every case.
How would you see that with the relationship beyond council, then the relationship between council and the mayor and working together on issues and the working relationship that needs to be there between those two entities?
This mayor is, how should I say, a very great manager. Okay, he knows how to build consensus. He knows how to work around the rough spots, and he knows how to bring in the right people at the right time to resolve whatever issue. He's not afraid when he feels that there's somebody who's not understanding what needs to be done in a particular situation. He is not afraid to reach out and talk to that person. Me being one of them on several occasions. Mm-hmm. And we do come to that common ground where we've decided that, okay, yeah, we need to move this way. You're right, okay, but we're going to move it slightly different, but we're going to end up at the same place, mm-hmm. just moving in a slightly different direction. And the department heads work very similarly with the mayor and with council as well. They are not afraid to come to us when they have an issue with something that we're either have voted on or going to vote on, and making sure that we understand we have the proper understanding of the issue at hand.
Mm-hmm. So now we've kind of touched on the relationship between council members, the relationship between the council and the mayor. So now you, as the incumbent and a council at large member right now, how do you handle the different people that come to you with issues? Because obviously not everyone's going to be on the same page with their stance on an issue. So how do you handle the people that may come to you with a differing opinion than yours, or even the ones that are on the same page as yours? I guess, how do you handle that working relationship?
Well, the first thing I do is I listen to them. I make sure that I have a good understanding of where they're coming from. Because I read something this weekend where it says, and we've all heard it at one point in time, but it really struck home, don't criticize a person until you walk a mile in their moccasins. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so that's what I've always ascribed to. Listen to what they have to say, listen to their point of view, and then, if necessary, and in most cases it is necessary, explain my side of the story and try to come to an understanding. Are we always going to come to an understanding that way? No. Okay, but we may just end the conversation with agreeing to disagree. Mm-hmm. Okay, we may end the conversation with, yeah, you're right, let's move your direction. Or they see it my way, move in my direction. Mm-hmm. It's the way it should be. It's not that, oh, you don't agree with me, whack, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. No, we don't do that. And I don't do that with any of the constituents. I do listen, I do respond, and sometimes it's just a simple thank you for your input, I'll take it under consideration. Mm-hmm. Okay, because sometimes I just get too many emails to respond to each one of them individually. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking with Paul Rose, the incumbent for City Council at large. And Paul, I appreciate you taking the time today to answer all the questions I had for you. But I want to give you the opportunity now that you can speak directly to the voters. If there's something I missed or just something you'd like to tell them, I want to give you that time now.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jarrod. First of all, I want to thank the voters of the City of Medina for the past 12 years. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve you and bringing your ideas, your needs to some sort of, I like to call it a resolution. Sometimes it's a good resolution, sometimes it's not, but it's been my privilege to be able to be that vehicle to bring it there. I just want you to know that I am one of those people who do make promises and do keep. Back in 2009, on my literature, I said here, I will work with the Economic Development Director and Planning Directors to seek additional ways to increase economic development without an increase to the city tax dollars. And that I've delivered on. We've increased since 2010. We've added over 800 new jobs to the city to the payroll in the city limits. We've added over $130 million in new investment to the city. This is new investment to the city that helped bring in those 800 jobs. The city taxes have grown approximately 40%. The income tax increases, or income tax revenues, have increased from approximately 12 million to 16 million in these 12 years, without an increase in the tax rate. So everybody is still paying at the same rate. It will be my honor and privilege to continue to serve you for 4 more years, and I would ask kindly for your vote on when you start early voting, October 5th, and all the way through to November 2nd. Thank you.
And thank you, Paul, the incumbent for City Council at large seat. We appreciate you being part of the political process for the years you've already given us and continuing that process. I commend everyone that comes in and takes part. It takes a lot to take that leap and be part of government. And so we appreciate you doing that, and I want to wish you the best of luck this November.
Thank you, Jarrod.
Thank you.